Okay, so who will win the 2024 presidential election and who will be the next president of the United States of America? Astrologically speaking, we can see this very clearly. Let's jump over to KAMALA's chart and look at the transits there. And I put these transits for, well, I'm 1111 hypnosis. So I love using 1111. So I put these transits for 11 p.m. on November 5th. Why? Because usually, the election if they're not done by that time, um, it's usually midnight um, or anywhere around there, 11 p.m., midnight, or 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. We never know. I don't remember exactly when I saw the results of the 26th. It was the 2016 elections, but it was quite late like that at night. So I put the transits for that time. There's not going to be a lot of changes if you do it any other time. So um okay, so for her, the transits, right? So transiting ascendant ruler, which is Mercury, is in the sixth house of Sagittarius, and it squares the MC. So um, that's already not such a good thing, having the ascendant ruler uh, being in the sixth house, even though, again, it's an indication um, that it's really like she's applying for the job, right? Like, it's related to work, it's related to civil service. So it's in the sixth house, and it's going to square her MC. It's going to square the midheaven, squares that 10th house of career. So that tends to be more of a challenging aspect. Okay, transiting Jupiter is in her 12th house, and it is conjunct the part of fortune, and it's almost on the ascendant, but it's still not there, not quite there. So um it's still conjunct the ascendant, but it's not quite there. It's still a little bit farther out than what I like. But again, it's more. I'm more concerned, I guess, with that transiting Jupiter squaring natal Venus in the fourth. Again, I'm trying to be, even though I did vote for a specific candidate, I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible, meaning when I'm reading the transits for her, you know, basically rooting for her, like, oh, how well can you do, right? And then when I'm reading his chart, hey, how well can you do? Kind of like a coach, um, you know, coaching their players, right? Kind of like, I'm trying, so when I say this concerns me in regards to her winning or losing, it's not, and the same for Donald Trump, like, well, this concerns me regarding this other thing. Um, as I'm reading, I try to disconnect myself, and when I'm doing this work, disconnect myself from my specific views. So I want to be as unbiased as possible. So this transiting Jupiter squaring natal Venus in the fourth doesn't look good as well. Venus rules her fifth and her 12th houses, so this denies her the feeling of pleasure during this time and accentuates, you could say, the feeling of loss. So it denies pleasure and makes her feel more like on the spectrum of loss. So due to Jupiter being retrograde and in the 12th, and Venus being the ruler of the 12th square with Jupiter, that there already by itself feels like a denial of uh, of the presidency. So let's look at the ruler of her sixth house. The ruler of her sixth house, Pluto, is transiting the eighth house of death. That's not a good thing, even though we're talking about loss, transformation and other people's money as well. So we could say that she has transformation or that she gains money even if it comes with the loss. So I don't know how that works specifically in politics, but I'm assuming um, she has some specific type of gain from other people's money during this time. And I would say that she will experience profound death and rebirth feelings with this specific transit, and it's going to be there for quite a bit. So, transiting Pluto also squares the moon and the sun, natal moon and sun. So that in itself, Pluto squaring both the luminaries and, transiting transiting Pluto squaring both luminaries is, I believe, quite difficult. I would even say um, nervous breakdown, maybe, of how difficult this may be for her. If she hasn't had the nervous breakdown already, it's quite difficult, I would say, this moment for her. I would say the amount of pressure, maybe her going through this allows her to maybe reassess of what she wants to do with her life. So I guess that placement is quite requires soul searching from her quite a bit. Okay, so the ruler of her 10th, and we're going to get a little bit more into the meat of this. Ruler of her 10th, Neptune is in the 10th, which is a good thing for her, or at least looks like a good thing for her, and it's probably her strongest transit placement. But Neptune squares the ascendant, so that's another denial because as this Neptune is transiting the 10th and it squares that ascendant, is pretty much telling you, hey, you're not getting the job, right? Um, so Saturn's also transiting the 10th. Yes, Saturn's transiting the 10th. And that seems to resonate with her natal Saturn placement a bit because it's conjunct, her natal Saturn is conjunct the MC, but it is in square to transiting Uranus, and it is in opposition to natal Pluto and natal Uranus. So these transits, I would say, also deny a win, and it sort of says, because these are, natal Uranus, Pluto, and Venus conjunct in the fourth, um, receiving these transits, I would say it's more like a return to your home, right? Like the return to your home gets denied, right? So her home in this case, let's think about it like home as White House, you know, not, a denial to a return to the White House type of thing, okay? Because she is, currently the vice president. So I would say that is, as far as interpretation, I think we could go off on a limb there and say that. And I would say that it would signify a loss with that square to the transiting Uranus in the 12th. So that transiting Uranus in the 12th, I think, really, I guess I could compare this. I could put this as a transit with the Sibley chart as well, but because I know I did do that prior to filming this video, I checked that out, but it doesn't look good like that for her either. I was trying to find all the positive indications, um, but it wasn't there. So I originally went into this with a thought of like, hey, maybe this is how to say um, maybe this is a way of finding when I put the Sibley chart, maybe it's a way of finding uh, a closer race, right? And that doesn't seem to be the case here. Um, that transiting Uranus in the 12th is conjunct natal Jupiter, which also further indicates loss, Jupiter being in that 12th house. And Jupiter rules her seventh, which would be like we could say like the people she deals with. Um, so her open enemies, you could say, being there. So she loses to her enemy, I guess you could say. Um, and this would be something that seems divinely set, as Uranus is the ruler of her ninth, and the ninth is the house of God again, ninth being a very important house. Um, so transiting Mars, ruler of her 11th house, squares her natal Mercury, indicating uh, no gains from that 10th house. Okay, so therefore, we could say if she's not gaining from the 10th house because of this transiting Mars being the ruler of her 11th and it's squaring her natal Mercury, which is her ascendant ruler, I would say, that's a loss, right? So, I tried really finding to see because I really did think this was going to be a close race. And who knows, it might end up being a very close race, but I don't think she wins. And I also think that, and I'll explain this as we get now to Trump's transits. I believe it's going to be a very weird sort of um, weird, surprising, very Uranian uh, result for this election. So let me open up Trump's